Ambassador Sood, why would someone want to assassinate a former Prime Minister who youngsters in the country, as our reporters reporting from Nara, love so much? His Abenomics, his strong stance on China, Japan seemed very fond of him.
Yes, I don't think we really have an answer yet. All we know about the person is that he's about 41 years old. The other fact that we know about him is that he had served with the Marine Self-Defense Forces. So whether he was mentally a troubled person or whether he had some personal sort of angst against former Prime Minister Abe, I think the police will be able to find out only after they investigate. They find out his computer, his telephone, his colleagues, his friends, his network, and things like that. They find out when he got this gun. It was obviously a handmade shotgun, so which leads one to believe that perhaps he had used this 3D manufacturing or additive manufacturing techniques and perhaps use those to develop this. Now, we do know that in the Japanese society, it is extremely, extremely difficult to get hold of a firearm. In fact, the number of casualties, the number of deaths due to weapons in Japan can be counted, is less than 1 in a month. I mean, if you compare that to something like the United States, it is over 100 a day. So this is an extremely, extremely rare kind of crime that we are looking at in terms of both the individual, somebody like former Prime Minister Abe, who really comes from a long-standing political family background. His grandfather was a former Prime Minister, his father was a former Foreign Minister. And somebody, and the manner of the crime. I mean, the use of a weapon, a gun like this. So clearly there is more to it than meets the eye.
A 3D gun manufactured at home, a country-made device, but lethal and used to such devastating impact, Ambassador Trigoniath. When you look at those images, and you know, we've blurred some of those images, but I've seen them and they're shocking. This man is hiding in plain sight, wearing a grey t-shirt, brown cargo trousers, his country-made gun hidden in a bag, wearing his corona mask, and he watches the Prime Minister make his speech and then whips out his weapon, shoots him from behind. Absolutely bizarre. Someone who's so popular, a former Prime Minister, so popular in Japan. How would Shinzo Abe be remembered, sir?
Well, I think, Gaurav, this was a devastating scene and an incident that has happened. Shinzo Abe has been a statesman. He has been the longest serving Prime Minister in the country. He had great relations with India and can be also said to be the architect of the Indo-Pacific, because when he spoke at our parliament building addressing, he mentioned about the confluence of the two seas. And only thing is that motive of this person will eventually come out when the investigations are completed. But he was definitely, Shinzo Abe was his target. So that is, and he said that he wanted to kill him. And the reason being possibly that Shinzo Abe has taken a very hard line against China, against the incursions that were happening on their own island. And the Chinese hegemony, and has been wanting to change the Article 9 of the Constitution. And so all these were taking Japan into a much different domain of self, I would say, protection or maintaining their own territorial integrity. And I think some of them who believed in a more pacifist kind of an approach would have had a difference of opinion. And that is the only reason. That's bizarre, but that is the reason. India
One of the reports seem to indicate, Absolutely. One of the reports seemed to indicate that this man had a grouse since 2019 and he'd been tracking, Shinzo Abe since then. He'd apparently, and of course this is subject to police verification, some of his videos, some of what he'd put out on social media platforms, all of that is being assessed. His house, we are told, and that's information that's just filtering in. When the police went to his house, they found some kind of explosives there.